Well, since you're watching part 2 of my Carter Model N carb rebuild, probably means you liked part 1, or you got to this one first on accident and you need to go back and watch the other one. Whatever. Just thanks for watching. Alright, here it is. I've been soaking this for about an hour. Remember, I put the lid on there because it stinks so bad. I don't want anybody to smell it or get into it or anything. Alright, I'm going to take this lid off. I'm going to slowly pull it up, let the stuff drip off. Look at the sparkle. That's because I got something on my lens and it made it all blurry and sparkly. But that image beautiful clean, right? So I'm going to put it back down in there. I'm fixing to go hose it off outside and then dry it off with my air compressor. And here it is after I have hosed it off with a water hose, just like the can says, and blown it off with the air compressor. You can still see I've got a little bit of gasket left. I just had to scrape that off, and it was okay. Everything's pretty darn clean. I mean, the inside's pretty shiny now. The outside was painted, and some of that paint comes off really, really easy after soaking in that Berryman's. This is the low speed, the low idle, I guess they call it, and it's nice and clean now. I hosed it off too, blew it off with the air compressor. Everything looking clean. Just need to start figuring out how to assemble it. I'm going to put this carburetor kit in there. It's got a couple extra pieces. It's got that ruler in there to measure your float. Make sure it's the right distance. Notice there's nothing shaking in there. Just want to point that out. If you shake that and you hear something in it, it's bad. And listen to this. Listen very closely. Did you hear that? Listen. Did you hear that? That is a bad float. No good. It's got gas in there, and if that happens, it won't float. This one, listen. It's good. Nothing in there. So that's a good float still. So I don't have to replace it. Alright. Now check this out. On the left-hand side, 25702-S. That's for the number 30 carburetor. In the middle here, it's 2575701S. It's very hard to read, I know. But that is for the number 26. And on the right-hand side, that is the Napa one. It's if you give them the Kohler part number, they can give you the Napa version of it, which is the one I've got this time for this carburetor rebuild. Okay? So let's get to work of reassembling this thing. Notice this little rubber, little gasket thing here. It goes around the outside here. You took one out, so you should be replacing it. You just kind of push it in there. It's just a little small. That's the needle seat, and the needle, it just screws into there. Just screws right in, then you get a flathead screwdriver and tighten it down. But don't forget to put this little gasket on there. It has to go on there. If you don't put it on there, it can leak. And that little gasket goes on. Remember this little bolt? This is the one that holds the bowl on. So don't forget to put that gasket on there, otherwise it'll leak too. Okay, and this little gasket, once you put the rubber one in around the edge, it just sits down over that. You need to put this on before you put your float back on, otherwise you're not going to be able to get your float back in there. Okay? So notice I got the little rubber gasket on there. You got to stretch it just the tiniest bit to get in order to get it to lay down in there. Not a big deal. I got the needle seat in there too. It's a little brass thing. Remember, don't forget to put your gasket on there. Okay, so I put that in there. Now I'm going to put the needle in there. Now, when it's all the way in there, like that, it closes up that hole so no gas can pour out. But once the float opens up, it allows that needle to fall down just a little bit. It won't fall out like that just did. But once it falls down a little bit, it allows gas to come back in there. Okay, so I've got that in there. I've got that weird-looking gasket back on there. And basically now I need to put the float on. So I have to grab that little rod right there, get it going through these little holes, and put the float on there and push it through its holes, and notice it holds it right on there. It once you put the bowl on there, it's impossible for the float to fall out. Notice that gap there was supposed to be 11/64 inches. Okay, so I got my bowl on, got my bolt down tight, or nut, or whatever you want to call it. It's on there nice and tight. No gas can drip out of there. Okay. Now, what you see right there is the low idle needle or something like that. See how it's keeping the throttle from closing all the way? You just have to screw that basically all the way in, and I think you turn it out. I think it's 1.5 turns, maybe. We'll look at the diagram here in a little bit and find out. See how it's keeping the throttle from closing all the way? You know, throttle regulates the amount of air coming through there. And if you close it all the way, it won't get any air. Therefore, you know, obviously you won't be able to suck any gas in, and the engine will die. All right. Here's the low idle screw. It goes in on the side right here. Just go ahead and screw it all the way down. We'll look at the chart in a little bit and figure out where, how far out we need to pull it. There's the high screw. Remember, it's got tiny little holes in it. You need to make sure all those holes are nice and clear, otherwise it won't run correctly. So you put the needle all the way down in there and screw it down. Screw it all the way down. Okay. And notice this little gasket here. That's the one I had to scrape off on this side. That goes between the carburetor and the engine. Okay. This one, I have no idea what it was for. I guess this is like a kit that's for a lot of different carburetors, but it doesn't go anywhere on here. So, not sure what you're supposed to do with it. Just throw it in the trash, I guess. My other carburetor kits from Kohler didn't actually come with that part. Alright, so you better have this book. Kohler Single Engine Service Manual for the K Series. It is PDF, download it from their website, completely free. Alright, and I'm going to go here to look at the adjustments. Look at the K301. For the low, it needs 2.5 turns. For the high, it needs 2 turns. And for the low idle, that little screw we were talking about, is 1.25 turns. Okay, I just want to show you a difference here. On the left-hand side, you see the carburetor that we just rebuilt. The only, there's some difference there on the front of it. You can see where it would attach to the air breather, or the air cleaner. Up here, this is the big thing, where the throttle is. Notice that this is solid. This is all metal here, and it opens and closes like this. Now, what I want you to look at is on this one, which came off a 1967 K301. Notice it's got a little nut and a little screw that holds it on. You got to take that off when you do your rebuild. See what it's doing. That same screw that you see right there, you can adjust that to open, make it where it doesn't close all the way on the throttle. You have to take that nut off because it'll the bearings will eat away at the plastic that's in that nut that's holding it on. Okay, don't forget that if you got a little throttle assembly like that. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, share, thumbs up, subscribe. Go fix your carb. Stop spending all day on YouTube. Whatever it is people say at the end of these videos, please do exactly that.